Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Gemini energy. And Gemini is air sign energy, so it can talk about what our truth is and what we love. And, some people maybe it can be our communication style, our words, how bright or intelligent people are. But ultimately, we kind of get down to the bare bones of it. In Gemini's about our dualistic nature. Are we, at a core foundational truth, are we kind of more motivated and inspired to work together with people from love and make decisions in our life? Kind of aligning with listening to love and intuition to guide us? Or are we still more caught up in our mind, our head, our fear, our insecurity, our codependency, our lust, our greed, our pride, our ego, our immaturity, the world? There's a lot of things that can manipulate us. High vibe energy is balanced, and there's a lot of things within ourselves that try to tip us out of balance, and a lot of people in the world who don't like us being balanced, because it's kind of like playing these games with each other. In order for you to play the game the way they like to play the game, if they don't like to do it in a just and fair and balanced way, is for you to be out of balance to play the game. Let me manipulate you, let me control you, let me be intimidating or selfish or whatever. So, life's about learning lessons, I think, and tempering our more immature egoic nature. And you could have people in your life that you could view as kind of like they got some lessons to learn, and you could find them kind of immature or egoic or something. And those people in turn could have people in their life that can be more immature and more egoic, and it's all on the spectrum of life, of lessons that we've learned. And everybody's going to decide kind of who they want to hang out with based on what kind of ultimately drives and motivates them. Part of it in their Gemini energy, what their truth is, what drives and motivates them. So I view this as the overarching reason for the reading, and it's the Four of Pentacles, which is Capricorn energy, which can be what we view as success. And some people are more about themselves and more about the world, and they want to be in relationships where it's more about them. Or the Four of Pentacles can talk about people who don't want to open up, people who don't want to do life any differently. If they were to learn some lessons and heal or grow and mature themselves, they could move forward in life a little differently. And some people are like, nope, I'm good. It's like, okay. And Capricorn is earth sign energy, so some people can be, the way they define their worth and value, and it can become like an addiction. I need more status, more image, more power, more money, more attention, or to indulge in these things, whatever it is that I think will make me happy. So you've either been illuminated to the truth that isn't the foundation to operate from, because love is the answer. And the people who have learned that lesson are holding back from some people in their life that they know are more about something else. And the people who are more about something else could be holding back from the loving people. Your truth isn't my truth. And we all have these. At the end of the story, we have the Page of Swords, which can represent all three of the air sign energies and people's Libra, Virgo, and Aquarius energy. What is my truth? What do I think is just and fair? And what's my idea of the dream life? And the thing is, we live in a world of duality. You could view people as aligned with the competition. They could view you as aligned with the competition. And above that, we have the Seven of Swords, which can be too, we have this dualistic nature. Some people don't even want to acknowledge they have a dualistic nature. It's to hide the truth. No, I'm immature. No, I'm selfish. No, I'm prideful or lustful or greedy. But they could think, it's okay. You just create this illusion about the type of person you are, and you hide your shadowy nature, but you still indulge in it. And other people kind of learned some of those lessons. And I don't want my more shadowy, immature, prideful, egotistical, stubborn, whatever nature to keep manipulating me and deceiving me. And I'm going to see the truth of it, because all it does is keep me like repeating old patterns. High vibe people harness high vibe Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. High vibe energy is freeing yourself from things that manipulate you. Seeing how your own fear, your own defensiveness, up here we have defensiveness to healing because of our fears of maybe being authentically ourselves, being more independent. You know, the pages can represent, we all kind of have this more codependent energy towards friends, towards family, towards the world, wanting people, you know, we all want a foundation, you know, and we're human beings, you know, we have this dream that we want to have come into reality. And some people want, you know, so the thing is, the pentacles could talk about bringing things into the 3D world. And we all would like to have friendships and relationships and jobs and have people that we enjoy, right? And for some people, that more drives them. Some people want to look like a shining star in a more shadowy Aquarius energy. You know, forget the people who do love me and who are authentic. You know, yeah, you like me. I need these people to like me. I need these people to view me a certain way. Or this might be great if I lived my more authentic life and was more inspired within myself to have more hope and faith and belief in myself. But I don't know, would I have the status or the image? And maybe that's more important than me living my more authentic life. Because in high vibe, the Five of Wands in Leo energy, shadowy Leo is being in our ego. I don't want to make my life more about conforming to the world, being up in my head and feeling wounded in the Eight of Swords and the Nine of Wands. I want to heal. I want to feel at peace and balance within myself. That is also high vibe Libra. Everybody has the free will to stand up for themselves, which is, I have my truth, and if it's, what about truth and love and justice and fairness? What about looking at life from a higher perspective? Quit being more about ourself or the ego or the image or things we might indulge in to make ourselves feel better. How about love? How about treating other people the way we like to be treated? You know, and we can all do that in the world. There's always going to be people in the world who, because of their own life experiences, just like some of the life experiences we went through, but some people, it can be more challenging for them than others. But really have a lot of fear is with the Eight of Swords, which is also Gemini energy, just like the Nine of Swords over here is Gemini energy. I could have a lot of fear of, you know, the truth sets us free. And that's what the high vibe Libra card, Libra represented by the scales of justice, I need to reflect on the truth. And some people are very defensive to seeing the truth. The nines talk about that we could be, there is the opportunity to close out an old cycle, an old way of living life or viewing life or certain habits or behaviors or friendships, jobs, or relationships. There's a maximum of 10. We'd have to be willing to see that final truth. And then we go from the 9 to the 7, and that's the difference of the Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords, again, is Libra energy, which can be about what we think is just and fair. And do we feel more stable and balanced within ourselves? Or are we kind of still wanting to indulge like poor behavior in ourselves or in others? And are we willing, in high vibe, the Two of Swords is listening to your intuition. And it's kind of like, I do want these things of the world. I'm a human. Yes, I want stability and security, and I'd like some of these things in the world that we as human beings enjoy. I want community, friendship, relationship to be in loving, nurturing, or encouraging and supportive environments. But in Gemini nature, we have free will and we have to make these decisions in life. And something, when we choose this, we don't choose that. And that can be what people really could have, and we've all been there. But some people right now that you might know really might have a hard time kind of letting go of, when you're in more fearful or insecure energy of Eight of Swords. You could just want to be in a relationship, to feel better, to rest within. Some people have the difference between the 9 and the 4 is the 5 of Swords. And in the 7 of Swords, the person's holding the 5 swords, and the 5 and the 6 and the 7 are all Aquarius energy of, I have a dream. And we want these dreams to come into reality, but, some people are so afraid of listening to their intuition. And it could be because they could be people who are used to more, again, Gemini, air sign energy of the mind, kind of trying to reason things out. But love isn't necessarily reasonable. Some people could be like, no, it's supposed to look this way and talk this way and act this way and dress this way and have this kind of job and behave this way and have these habits and not those habits. And we, sometimes we're pretty caught up that it has to look a certain way. Well, then we could get in relationships where things look a certain way and people could defend it. Look at me. The 4 of Swords, I and my Libra energy. Not like they have to be a Libra, but look at me. I got justice. Look at me. That's also shadowy Leo. Look at me. And anybody can harness these zodiac sign traits in a more shadowy way, a more worldly way, a more high vibe way. But there are some people who are defensive to seeing the truth, and they don't want to see the truth. That it is about freeing themselves and standing up for themselves in a way. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but if you don't like all those things manipulating you within yourself and the world at large telling you, no, you have to do this and not that, and act like this and dress like this, and, subconsciously kind of the world and people in our community and our friendship group or whatever, and just the world and commercials try to tell us we don't have worth and value if we don't look this way or that way or dress like this, blah, blah. And some people really, really get caught up in that, and it really gets them up in their head because they really want to be viewed a certain way and people view them a certain way. And they could really think that is the way for me to get those things. And if I have those, and if I really want those things, and this is how they think, that's what they're going to be caught up in their head about, and what the 9 of Wands can kind of talk about, defending that. The 5 of Wands comes after the 4 of Wands, and the 4 of Wands is kind of like this foundation, and it can be our foundation of self in the 4 of Wands, and then the 5 of Wands is taking that action because of the foundation of self that we operate from, and the truth that we have, and how we view the world, what we think is just and fair. And the things the 8 and 9 of Swords can talk about, our fears and our insecurities and being up in our head. And the people who really are more caught up in the world, that's what they're gonna make their life about. That is their truth. That is how they think they will get justice. And some of those people could be really stressed out right now because it might not I think it would cause them inner conflict within themselves, because we do have this dualistic nature within ourselves. We have our more worldly nature. We want what we want, but we all hopefully still have a conscience, and we have our more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And, we kind of know when we might not, we're kind of battling with our own truth of living our more authentic life and doing and being and in the friendships and relationships and the jobs and wearing the clothes we want and doing the things that we want from love, just living our authentic life. That would be like a high vibe Five of Wands, high vibe Leo. In my foundation of self, which is Aries, which is about the decisions that we make in our life, I have learned all these lessons in life, and I'm done making my life about the world. People are going to think about me what they want to think about me. And do I even want to hang out with people if I don't look a certain way or wear certain clothes or do this or do that? Like, are those people who would be kind of defensive to being in a relationship with me? Some people would say I wouldn't even want to be friends with those people. Let them go hang out with the people who want to make their life about that. It could be too bad, because I could have known some of those people. I could have become acquaintances with some of those people. I'd like some of those people. But if they're too much up in their head to be more independent, that's high vibe energy, to live their more authentic life, well, I don't know, what would those people say? And I don't know if you really fit in. It's like, yeah. You go enjoy your life. That's not for me anyway, But I think they battle within themselves. We have our dualistic nature. We have to make these decisions in our life. Some people know they're not being authentic in shadow. The Seven of Swords can be that people can know they're being deceptive and manipulative because they either are quite codependent, or in shadowy Five of Wands, they're very competitive and they really want these things of the world, or to look a certain way, or the things that they indulge in that they think is them living the dream, whatever it is, however they live their life, that no, I don't want to change. I don't want to look at life from a higher perspective. And some people, it's just, in high vibe Aquarius and high vibe energy, I think could be, you kind of wrapped your brain around this game of life, and it's like accepting there's gravity in the world and there is kind of cause and effect. If I go do this, this could be a predicted outcome. And if I go do this, that could be a predicted outcome. So, but I can't control everything. And that's what some people they could be very smart, very bright, some people. And they think, and a shadowy Leo and shadowy Aquarius and shadowy energy at large could just be, I think that's what everyone does. I think everybody's more motivated to be about themselves. I think everybody is more motivated by these things of the world. And I think love, that's the delusion. For people who think or say they want to do love, those people are trying to deceive people about the truth, because that's living in fantasy land. And so then that's how they view life. And it could be there is no higher truth or justice to aspire to. We live in the world, is what the world tells us is what's important. We do what the world says, then people view us a certain way. People look up to us or admire us, whatever it is, or like, oh wow, we have a card in the middle. It's kind of like the heart of the reading that isn't showing itself. The King of Wands. Well, the way that could be interpreted is in our fire sign energy of ourself, in our Leo, in our Sagittarius, in our Aries energy, the three fire signs, just like some people in all three of their air sign energies, some people in their air sign energy and their fire sign energy, it's just more motivated and inspired, like we all are really pretty motivated and inspired by the world for the first 30, 40 years of our life, because there's all these things that we want to manifest and accomplish and indulge in that we are sure will make us happy. And for some people, they never plan to take more creative, inspired action to change. Oh, I guess that one wasn't flipped upside down. But they have no interest to change. Defensive to change. And it's just for some people, you kind of got to go on these journeys in life. You know, if we were to think of all the different things and some things that we went and indulged in that we were sure was going to make us happy, whether that was a boyfriend, a girlfriend, drugs, alcohol, whatever, play in the field like something else, you know, whatever. You know, could have at times been fun or whatever, but it gets old, right? Any kind of phase of life. You know, could we have been happy being a senior in high school? Do we want to stay a senior in high school forever? You know, whatever, you know, it gets old. And part of that is because we're holding back from going with the flow of life, where we do close out old chapters in our life, willing to see the truth. This kind of way of living life, just like when I was 18, 21, and 25, has kind of come to an end. And, you know, some people move on and they kind of look through, you know, I could be kind of defensive of change. But some people, you know, they have a dream, both two cards of Aquarius. But if I kind of keep repeating this old pattern, I kind of keep staying kind of in this emotional maturity level or living my life a certain way. I'm not facing my fears that get me up in my head about why I have so much inner conflict, maybe about loving and believing in myself. And so then we'll keep repeating an old pattern. And you know, for some people, you know, we go through this at different stages of life, but I think maybe now with kind of entering the age of Aquarius and closing out some big cycles in the world and closing out of a big cycle that we'd been in, maybe of Capricorn, they say, and now it's about not so much about the old ways of looking at life, but going into this more, a different phase anyway. And a lot of people can have a lot of problem with change, and we all know people that have a problem with change, no matter what it is. And some people more so than others, but I think when people get to a certain age in their life, it can be a really big change. And I don't think there's enough kind of conversation about, you know, generally we kind of might think, oh, well, I'll get married, I might have children, and, you know, we're going to do all the normal things. People maybe have jobs and all that stuff, but we really don't talk and think that much about what do we want to do after that, in a way. And you know, it's really kind of maybe gives people an opportunity to reconnect in with themselves, you know, because we did have to put so much time into these things we thought we should and things we maybe did have to. But then it's like, you know, people could have gotten in jobs and career fields that they didn't even want to be in, you know, and as you learn more lessons in life and go through life, you could think, gee, I'd really like to go do something else, but, it can be hard to get out of a certain career field. But maybe if you were to think, how can I use what I've learned in that career field of whatever knowledge base I have and take that somewhere else where maybe, it'd just be different and new. It would change, wouldn't be the same as what it's been. And especially if I'm in something where I do feel like I'm being wounded, or I feel like, I have to fight for trying to make things be more just and fair, because other people, the difference between the 1 and the 8 is the 7 of Swords, that other people are kind of being bossy or controlling or immature or competitive or manipulative or immature and defensive or something. And the difference can be between some people in our families, in our communities, in our workplaces or whatever, is that high vibe Aries that any of us harness, we've all been caught up in making our life about the world, and we all could have went through a phase of life where we were more codependent, had more fear, we're out of balance, we're a little more defensive, have a lot of inner conflict and things that we haven't dealt with. But then when we get in some of these jobs, friendships, and relationships, hopefully it provides a sense of stability for us that, one person could have been motivated within themselves that, I've been looking for a place where it was more stable and secure, and then I get kind of motivated to work through my fears and insecurities and my defensiveness and things that make me fearful of being more authentically myself. So high vibe Pages and high vibe Leo. And while some people do that work within themselves to work through those things that manipulate them, things in their past or whatever, they could get and be in a relationship or a workplace that provides that type of stability and security, and together you can provide that for each other. But other people kind of lack motivation and could have no interest whatsoever in wanting to work through some of the things that manipulate them. It's like, what? Why? This is good. We look victorious and successful. It's a place for us to rest within. I thought we were going to do this forever. And it's like, oh, just as time goes by, it's just a normal thing. I thought that you kind of look through some of your issues because they manipulate you. You probably known since you got in a relationship some things that manipulate you. That's like what some high vibe people would say to themselves. And it's like, I don't like those things manipulating them. I want to be free of them. So that's when, anytime we're in friendships or relationships community, and we don't have to be in them, we can do this work just within ourselves, books, movies, music, journaling, exercise, just different things where we spend some time working through and reflecting on some of our fears and insecurities and self-learning beliefs, and like, why do I think that? Like, who put all those thoughts in my head? Where did I get those from? Did I put all those there? Or did some of those come from these life experiences? And do I want to keep letting those things manipulate me? Or do I want to get free of them? And that's when some people, you do it enough times and then it's like, why don't I love and believe in myself? And I think that's also high vibe Leo energy. Learning, getting inspired within yourself to love and believe in yourself. Like, be your own. And the King of Wands, since it's a masculine figure, it can represent how people are presenting themselves in the world and action they're taking. But it can also represent us in our more worldly nature, standing up for our more hopeful, believing, loving nature of self. And some people don't do that within themselves. That's why, we can be in codependent energy. No, I'm looking for someone else to be in a relationship with and to love me and be loving and encouraging of me. I haven't learned to do that within myself and stand up for myself. And all these life experiences were to help you get there. And, if you were in relationships with people who were more defensive, who some of them could have been a little full of themselves, some of them could have been a little fearful, some of them could have been immature, some of them could be competitive, and we're emotionally complex human beings. Some people can be all of them. Some people are kind of deceptive and manipulative. Some people have a lot of fear of other people deceiving and manipulating them, and they don't listen to their intuition, and they cause a lot of conflict and fighting in their own relationships with people who had no ill will intended for them. you know? But until we're willing to be inspired to want to get to the truth, and kind of viewing this as the overarching reason, our own more worldly, shadowy nature doesn't want us to love and believe in ourselves, because then our more worldly, shadowy nature won't be in the driver's seat of our life. And it wants to be. And then we can have people in our life who don't want us to get more balance within ourselves and work through our fears and insecurities, because then we won't be in the same energy that we're currently in that makes us live life and view life the way we do it and keep living life the way we do, and we're in relationship with them. Or we stay at that job. And some people thought, I feel like maybe I'm being manipulated. Or I think people are acting in these ways that I don't like. And that's when some people had to do all this work within themselves and deal with their own fears and insecurities about leaving that job, friendship, or relationship. I want justice. And if someone is holding back being more just and fair with me, why would I keep staying in a relationship with them? And it can be because we have these fears and we're defensive of change. We're defensive of becoming more independent of them. We have fear of believing in ourselves and believing in our dreams. And we'd have to take that more bold, brave, confident action to stand up for ourselves and what we believe in. And also, instead of where we could have been more in our fire sign energy, motivated and inspired by these things that we wanted in the world, that's when some people are like, I can't let that aspect of my life. And I do think in tarot, we have the pages and we have the knights, then we have the kings and the queens, then we have the emperor and the empress. It's about going out on these journeys and learning these lessons in life. And some people completed a phase in like the wand suit, and now they're going and learning lessons in the air sign suit. Because you might kind of drive your life off into the ditch in either one, because that's the really important one. Like, oh, I'm in the cups. Oh my gosh, my heart is running my life. And then I was in the pentacles and I could have let the world run my life. And then I could have been more inspired by things. And then, it's all this process of learning these lessons, kind of going out to extremes so that eventually, hopefully, we see the truth that all 4 suits of the deck in tarot, the heart, the mind, the 3D world, and the creative passion nature, they're all equally important, because I've probably went and done one or the other, or let 1, 2, or 3 be more important. And I was learning all these lessons, and then hopefully as I learn all those lessons in life about get more clear about what my truth is and my truth isn't, hopefully along the way, we've learned to stand up for ourselves and what we believe in. And if you're more motivated, for one, if it's supposed to be a romantic relationship, it's supposed to be based on love. And some people are hiding that they think it's more, male or female, to indulge themselves in or be more about them. That's not love. That's not just and fair. That's not working together with people cooperatively. Both people in high vibe, the Two of Pentacles, the Four of Pentacles should be made up of two Pentacles. And the Two of Pentacles can represent maintaining balance. I have my dualistic nature. I have learned lessons in life. I am not going to indulge poor behavior in myself or others. And I don't want to be in a relationship with other people who do. And those are the people that I want to hold on to. Because we both look at life from a higher perspective, both believe in truth and justice and fairness, and we're focused on looking to the future and continuing. The pages can represent those new beginnings. I want to keep giving birth to new me. Just like we shed being more like an 18-year-old to become a 21-year-old, I want to keep working through the things that manipulate me. And it's not just about me, and I don't want my life just to be about me. I have a dream. And I want to come together with others. The Four of Wands talks about coming together with people in joy and celebration. And the Four of Wands in high vibe, you could view it as two of Wands people. Two people who in their Aries energy are inspired to work together with other people. But for it to work, you have to be inspired by the same truth. Some people are motivated and inspired in their air sign energy by truth and love and hope and faith and belief in their dreams and justice and fairness. And some other people are a little bit more maybe about the world or being more about them. And again, you can be in friendships and relationships or workplace for a long time with people. We have so many things we need to navigate in a relationship. And we could work through a lot of those things until, and that could be years or decades down the line, where finally we get down to that core truth. Are we going to keep giving birth to something new? But this isn't all the different lessons we could have learned in a phase of life. Now it's a bigger change. Now we need to detach from one way and one viewpoint, kind of just like it was a big change to go from being 15 to being 18 and the different responsibilities, and then from 18 to 21, then 21 to 25, and 25 to 30 or 35, And that's when some people are like, no, I have inner conflict with that. That's outside my comfort zone. And some people didn't know they would feel that way. People could have thought, no. But it can be where if one person is less inspired, but the way it happens in a more mundane level is just like some people like to indulge in certain things and do certain things, and they maybe wouldn't mind doing some of those things here and there, but they really kind of maybe want to go do some other things periodically and maybe even kind of quit some things altogether, I just don't find that. I mean, could you imagine? Well, and some people do, but if you were living the life of like being like a 21 to 25-year-old every weekend, well, I don't know about you, but mine was probably going out to the bar. I don't want to be 35, 45, 55 and every weekend I'm out hanging out at the bar like I did when I was 21. I have more productive things I could do with my life and probably more responsibilities, than I had back then. But some people want to keep living their life like that forever. But at a bigger scale, it can just be, are you willing to be more authentically yourself and quit being so caught up in, well, what will the world think? And, that again could be more codependent energy. Well, isn't it the most important thing to have people view me a certain way? And I don't know, isn't it more about the ego or the image, or me looking like I'm a player and living the dream, or, whatever it is people do? Or that it has to be more about me and I need to be bossy and controlling? And some people aren't ready to detach from that phase of life. That is still kind of what probably makes them feel kind of safe and secure within themselves. And other people are like, oh my God, I can't keep living my life like that or making my life about that, or I don't view life like that anymore. A certain way of living life or viewing life that I used to think was just and fair. And of course, it was just and fair to view it that way because that was the age we were at or how we viewed life. But that's kind of not my truth anymore. And from the Seven of Swords to the One Sword, the difference is the Six of Swords. Again, were we all kind of more caught up in certain things and ways of viewing life? Yeah. And that was like part of the dream, but I just didn't think I was going to stay here out of my fear or my defensiveness of change. I want to face my fears. I want to keep moving forward. I want to keep having hope and faith that, and there too, all these other cards here on the table, well, except for having the dream of the Aquarius card, are a younger energy, a less mature energy than the King of Wands. Some people are just trying to become male or female like a King of Wands. Quit living more from their mind than their heart. And then air sign energies are offset by fire sign energy. And it's to get balance within them. I have this dream and my truth and these things. I also have things that I think are logical and practical, but, it's trying to get balance between the two. And then in our truth and kind of with what motivates and inspires us, but to get like most of the things we want so that like both aspects of ourself are happy. Because otherwise we're kind of, the sevens can talk about being tipped out of balance. Well, no, that's less important. This is more important. And you're going to have to sacrifice that. We're not going to get that because this is more important. And it's putting too much emphasis on maybe one thing or the other. And maybe not letting hope and faith and belief and love and in yourself drive the decisions, but maybe more the world or the fear or the codependency or the competitive nature or the defensive nature and fear of being hurt, and all those things are driving it. So I think the more some people who are defensive to seeing the truth about themselves, if they have some of these shadowy traits and characteristics, they're probably going to keep being that way. The people who are more closer to being balanced within themselves and less defensive to admitting that maybe they didn't know everything, and maybe they have some lessons to learn, and maybe willing to see how not everything I go pursue works out the way I want, because it doesn't have, it can be a mix between me and the people that I'm in relationship with. But I have to see what kind of keeps me driving and motivating me. If I keep chasing after things that aren't aligned with my truth, or get in relationships with people who I know their truth isn't my truth, why am I going to keep doing that? How about I get in relationships with people who their truth already is my truth? And the fives can talk about change. Why keep trying to change people? Why not go find people who are more motivated and inspired by the same things I am, or kind of look at life the way that I do? If they're more defensive, if they're more fearful, if they're more full of themselves, if they're more competitive or manipulative, why am I hanging out with those people and getting in more involved relationships with those people? The thing is, we can be attracted to people and we want these things of the world that we want. But if we keep not be willing to see the truth, we're going to keep probably getting ourselves in more mismatched relationships. And if there's people who aren't working with us cooperatively, some of those people we have to respect, oh, are you already in a friendship or relationship or job, your dream job? Well, I need to deal with the truth of that. Get out of my ego about it. Okay. Well, then that's a bummer. But I'm going to believe that God still has a plan for my life because I think God wants us to manifest our dreams into reality. It's just sometimes we're not seeing the truth that some of the people, if they're not working with us or they're in different relationships, then quit deceiving ourselves and see the truth that we need to take some inspired action in our life to look at life from a higher perspective, to heal, to believe in ourselves, believe in our dreams, that God must have something else planned. That, like, God would know what your truth is and what other people's truth is. But we also have to see the truth that sometimes some people are holding back because they are trying to manipulate you. I'm not, that your truth isn't my truth. If you're not willing to come back and do it my way, then I'll go find someone else who will. Well, it kind of shows you maybe they're, it's just, if they've already shown you they have shadowy traits and characteristics, it's like, and they're being manipulative. Well, for one, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who's manipulative. I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who's strategic, deceptive, and manipulative. That's not the kind of person I want to be in a relationship with. And if you want to be in a relationship with someone else, then I'm going to accept the truth of it, you know? Some people don't get it, though. It is always trying to manipulate other people. Who will indulge me the most? And if someone's not indulging me, then they'll try to get in relationships with other people, hoping that will make someone else be in a mental prison and in their ego and kind of chase after them. And then they'll be in a mental prison trying to decide, well, would this person more indulge me? Would that person more indulge me? Is, you know, and they have to go through all the pros and the cons. Like, I don't want to be one of the people that you're trying to choose from. If I am not the person that you choose to be with, then I'm going to let you do that with whoever else and anyone else, but not me. And the truth is, some people don't want to step out of their comfort zone. They have a way of living life. They don't want to change. They could be codependent on people in their life that they're not willing to become independent of. They could be more about the world and the ego and the image. And you work through all of that. So because the high vibe people wanted to get to the truth and they wanted it to be more just and fair, and they weren't willing to give up their dreams, they did become independent. They worked through all the mental conflict and all of that to stand in their truth. And the Page of Swords isn't like aggressive. It maybe was at the beginning, but then it gets to be because you're kind of at a place of peace. I accept that everybody is where they're at. I accept that people have these different ways of acting or behaving, and their fears and their insecurities and their codependency and their lust and their greed. And I see that your truth is different than my truth. And that's how the high vibe people are able to move on. They did get out of their ego. And now they're inspired to move forward in their truth and let, kind of that phrase, let them do what they want to do. And some of those people are mad because they were trying to manipulate and control you. And there were some people who didn't like that you healed and you worked through all these things, that whatever it was that could have kind of manipulated you. And then in order, because they were supposed to be like God in your life and they like to think they're God in other people's lives, you know, it's kind of like the people who throw people under the bus and kick people to the curb and it's like, I'm so powerful. Or just hurtful, unkind, defensive, competitive, jealous, envious, bossy, bullies. Because it makes them this sense of feeling powerful. Well, it only lasts as long as the other people stay thrown under the bus and kicked to the curb. And when the other people say, Wow, I did not maybe think you were that kind of person, but apparently you are. And you're not who I thought you were. One time I might have defended you because I thought you were more just and fair and loving and authentic. But then I found out you weren't. And I could have found out it was a little bit more all about you because shadowy Aries energy that anyone can harness is being about the self. And that you're maybe kind of more immature and competitive and selfish and deceptive and manipulative and fearful and insecure than I realized. So I'm going to do all this work within myself to work through the truth of accepting the fact of that. And I accept the truth of it. That's who you are. So from the 9 of Wands down to the 5 of Wands is letting go of the 4 of Wands. You're not someone I want to be in a foundation with, because it is not joy and celebration to be in a foundation with you. And I could have offered truth and love and encouragement to people, but they have to be inspired within themselves to heal and grow and mature themselves and work through those things that manipulate them. And if they choose not to do that, then they choose not to do that. But I'm not going, because again, there's people who can be immature and all these things and maybe play the wounded warrior, which is what the 9 of Wands can talk about. Poor, poor, pitiful me. And they're looking for someone to indulge them where they don't have to change. And it's like, you don't have to change, but you're going to have to find someone else to play this role in your life. Because it's kind of like trying that phrase, teaching someone to fish so they can feed themselves forever. And this is someone like, well, no, could you catch a fish? No, could you catch a fish? And like, could you fill my cup of love? Could you fill my cup of love? But they never get inspired within themselves to align with that energy, to wrap their brain around this game of life and see where they need to be more inspired within themselves to be in that energy. And that's because some of them are not motivated and inspired to do that. They like to try to manipulate other people to do that for them. And that can be shadowy energy where I kind of think everybody else should put aside their pride and ego in this relationship, but not me. I'm like the star of the show. I'm the most important person here. You should want to be in a relationship. Some of these people, because they could look a certain way or look like they have justice in the world, or just because they're a narcissist, think that you should want to be in a relationship with me. If you were in a relationship with me, you would look like you have justice in the world. It's like, I might have used to think you had these traits and qualities that I would think I was going to get justice, but you weren't being truthful and authentic, and maybe not motivated and inspired by truth and love. It was more the ego and the image and the status. And I see you're defensive and have inner conflict and mental conflict about being more authentic and loving. So I'm going to let you do that with someone else. And the high vibe people are standing up for their truth. And they're not taking action towards those people anymore. And they let go from the 8 of Swords down to the 4 of Swords, which the 4 of Swords can talk about healing. I can't have a high vibe Gemini relationship unless both people, 2 4 of Swords, come together. 2 people who have the same truth, who kind of healed and grown and matured themselves to kind of be on the same emotional wavelength, It's kind of like the difference between someone who's like 35 and 50, and it's like, yeah, we view life differently. This isn't going to work. You're looking for someone who's kind of learned some of the same lessons that you've learned in life. So you see, there's no healing a relationship. You can offer people truth and love and encouragement, but they have the free will to decide if they want to be in a more involved friendship, keep being or get in a more involved friendship or relationship with you, or heal an existing relationship. And if not, I'm not going to keep pursuing someone. I might feel a little wounded, but everybody has their truth. And I'm going to look to the future, accept the truth. Though there's a part of me that has fear, I'm going to keep being inspired within myself to close out this cycle, to go have this new beginning. And I'm going to work with the people in my life that do work together with me in this more high vibe nature. And even when we're in friendships and relationships, it's kind of like everybody can have some of their fears, their own wounding, things that can kind of trigger them. But, we can all be loving and encouraging to each other. And sometimes we're the one extending grace to people and being the more loving and encouraging person. Sometimes they're the people with us, some people in our life right now. Are we going to make it in that friendship or relationship to keep having hope and faith and belief in the dream? Have things changed and we kind of realize that how we want to move forward is different than to get out of our ego. And because sometimes we get in things and we haven't been in them all that long, and we can get in things and think, oh, this is like going to be my dream. And then when we realize, oops, I kind of took the wrong off ramp here. We're not too prideful and egotistical to say, I don't think this is my truth. And I think if I keep moving forward in this, I'm going to have a lot of inner conflict. I need to take some time to regroup and really think about what my truth is. But some people, they are going to take action, even if their intuition is telling them, you might regret this. But because of the fear, when they're in relationships with more authentic, loving people, they probably get up in their head and they don't move forward with those people. Then when they're in relationships with people who are kind of maybe they could feel are on the same page as them, but those people don't really, it is going to be repeating this old pattern, and those people not maybe aligned with hope and faith and belief and love, have their own agenda. If you're not in the relationship for love, why are you in it? And I think some of the people who think, I don't have to do love, and that's not the most important thing, and the most important thing is these other things. I think they're either going to be in a very, it might look good on the surface, but underneath the surface, there could be a lot going on that people don't know about, of why people stay in those relationships if it's not inspired by love, but more out of fear, more out of money, out of status, out of codependency, and everybody's equally manipulating each other. And other people are in relationships where we can just have fears and insecurities about life, some not even about each other. Or even afraid of someone, if it's just a friendship, like, oh, what if they go get another job and they move? Or what if their job were to take them somewhere else, or, that's the stuff you can get kind of stressed out about. But it's like, you know what? Who knows what my life's going to be? I'm just going to enjoy my life every day and keep listening to my intuition. And I'm not going to take more immature action, and the other people probably won't take more immature action. And even if they do kind of get a little bit in their ego, which you can, I suppose, at different times in a relationship, it's like I'm going to keep listening to my intuition because I don't want to sabotage this relationship. So, what's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe Gemini energy? Staying focused on truth and love and justice and fairness. And as you move forward with the people that are like that in your life, and you defend those people in your life and they defend you, some people could come in your life that try to cause conflict and fighting. You just don't let them cause the disruption and the conflict and fighting. And even when your own more shadowy nature is like, I don't know if we're going to get what we want, and I think we should go do this instead, you're going to offer truth and love to your own shadowy nature. And that's kind of like what you do. You give that to yourself, you in turn give that to others, and other people do that within themselves or they don't. And then if they don't do that within themselves, that's when they can try to do things to get you bothered because they don't like that you're in a more balanced state and they're kind of discombobulated. And they want you in that energy too. It's like, I'm not going to go in that energy. You can be whatever way you want to be. I'm going to take action in my truth. And some other people could see that you're taking action in your truth. And that's why some of those people, they might like to be in a relationship with you or a friendship. But if they can't deceive and manipulate you, or they don't think it would have the status or the image that they want, they won't get in a relationship with you. And some other people are still trying to change other people. It's like, well, I guess glad I'm not in one of those situations right now. Not like I haven't been. But I just saw the truth. I'm going to speak my truth. And if that seems to not be other people's truth, I'm going to wish them peace and love. And I'm going to go live my truth and they can go live theirs. And then it kind of shows, what people's truth is. What's coming up for the high vibe people they don't see coming? Karma, kind of like the judgment card. Why? Because of the 5 of Wands. So the judgment card, again, can be that you completed a cycle. We go through these phases of life to learn these lessons in life. You knew there was things that you did not think were just and fair. People trying to stress you out, or people being deceptive or manipulative or immature or whatever. And you've been doing this work within yourself, healing and standing up for yourself, staying focused on the truth, working through your own mental conflict about change, but you keep taking action. It's kind of like waiting for the new beginning, but it's like, it's like until maybe whatever. Sometimes I think of this game of life kind of like the Hunger Games, just not as violent, hopefully. That until it's really judged by the higher powers, maybe, that you really have changed. You are not the same person that you were before. And you've been tempted in all these different ways, and you keep holding your position in truth and love. That's when judgment goes in your favor, and you get to go have this new beginning. And while you go on to the next level of the video game of life to overcome new obstacles and challenges, the other people are going to repeat an old pattern. At least some of the people in your life. And there'll be other people in the world that you might not meet until you move forward that overcame some of the same obstacles as you. And you've all learned to listen to your intuition about people who are more defensive and competitive and deceptive or immature, more about themselves or the things of the world, because you're looking for people who are more truthful and authentic. So I think you're going to have an inspired new beginning, and I think there will probably be other people who see the truth who are willing to come in, and you probably already have some people in your life that way, but other people who come in to defend you. And if people are kind of being shadowy in some way, some other high vibe people will stand up for you because they are aware of the difference between, again, how different people act and behave and conduct themselves. And they know some people are deceptive and competitive and all that kind of stuff. And some of those people are going to stand up and defend you. What's coming up? The shadowy people don't see coming. The 10 of Swords. Why? Because of the 6 of Cups. The 6 of Cups can talk about reconciling ourselves with the past. And the 6s because there's 12 zodiac signs, and then we also have our dualistic nature. When you work through getting balance within yourself and offsetting your own fears and insecurities with hope and faith and belief and love, and offer peace and love to the past, it helps you reconcile yourself with the past. And then the past isn't manipulating you the way it did. And you kind of, whatever it could have been in your life, that things from your past or whatever, it no longer has that kind of impact on you the way it did, because you were inspired, I think, to offer truth and love to it so that you could heal and make peace with it. And that's you closing out a cycle. And just like you have done that with some people in your life, whoever those people are next going out in the world with, some of the people they get in friendship and relationship with are going to go through some of the same things you went through. And then it's up for those people to decide, is this my truth or isn't this my truth? And everybody has the free will to live their life. You know, you decided it wasn't your truth. You know, and other people that could be in those people's life, or if they go get a new job, a new friendship, a new relationship, as time goes by, some of those people could realize, you know, maybe they harness their Six of Cups differently. And the Six of Cups is Scorpio energy, which in high vibe is I want a deep, meaningful relationship, and just and fair and balanced one. And other people, not so much, just kind of a little more emotionally shallow, superficial, and I think it's just and fair for me to be able to repeat these old patterns. And some other people in their life are going to say, I don't want to repeat that old pattern. You know, it's just interesting how, you know, you can meet people, and people that you think would be more, well, you're older or whatever, you think they'd be more mature, and they're not. And it's just like, oh my gosh, just like being in junior high and you people are like 45 and 65 or 75 years old. I was like, no, I do not want to hang out with people who are acting like that. I gave that up in junior high, or hanging out with people like that in junior high. But you people continue it on into way into adulthood or something. And that there are some people that are very competitive. But of course, they try to present themselves as these just and fair and stable and grounded, loving people that people should be friends with. But it's more for how it makes them look, and maybe not very authentic and a little superficial and shallow. And yeah, people just see the truth of it. This might be your idea of the dream life. It's not my idea of the dream life. And there'll always be more high vibrational people in their life at any given time, or some high vibrational people in their life at any given time. And the more high vibrational people are going to move on. And they're going to communicate with the people in their life, whether it's people from their past, people from their present, or looking to people in their future. High vibe people get out of their ego. I am willing to tell people I had lessons to learn, but I've looked at life from a higher perspective. I've worked through some of my fears and insecurities and my self-learning beliefs, and I've changed. I want to move forward like this. Who wants to move forward like that? And there will be some people that'll be like, yeah, I want to move forward like that. And there's always going to be people who've done some work in a relationship or a friendship that are offering truth and love to the people in their life. Can we quit some of these ways of being? Because I don't feel that is conducive to a just and fair and balanced and loving relationship. And some of the people are going to have some people that are like, oh, I don't think you'll go. Because for a long time, people have mental conflict about letting go of a relationship, needless, with some people they could have love for. Whether it's your brother or your sister or your adult child or a parent or a friend you've known for a long time. You know, they don't want to let it go, but, you know, and that's what the shadowy people keep counting on. You won't let it go. But eventually, with Judgment Day, it's like, I'm done. If you were motivated and inspired to change or work together with me in a more just and fair way, you would. And I'm done even putting in the work and effort. I might see you at Christmas, but otherwise, I'm going to go invest my time and energy. And the judgment card can talk about investing your time, energy, and effort into people who have called judgment on their more immature ways of being, who take accountability. And some other people are like, nope, I'm not doing that. That means I won't be able to repeat this old pattern. And I want to repeat this old pattern. It's like, well, then you go. You enjoy. And they're really defensive to, the truth would set them free, but some of them, they'd have to speak the truth. Some people have been being deceptive and manipulative, and they have been competitive, and maybe because they were wounded, maybe because they were fearful, maybe because of things that happened in their life. Well, the truth would set them free. But some people, the most important thing is their image or their status. So, nope, I'm not going to tell the truth. And I think the more they keep defending a more shadowy way of being, I think eventually it's kind of like their own more high vibrational nature within them isn't willing to work with them anymore. They become less and less of who they once were, because our shadow nature of how it can be really shadowy doesn't really have our best interest, and represented by the devil at the big picture, these things that kind of drag our life into hell, and we're not the person that we used to be. And some people could be starting to see and some people could just be realizing, because of how people can present themselves in the world, and you kind of realize, wow, I didn't know that person at all. They're not at all like I thought they were, and some of them just wore a really good false mask. And that's when some people are like, I was getting along and working together with you maybe all this time or all these years because I thought you were being truthful about the truth of who you were and the conversations that we had and the things that we talked about and the things I thought we were on the same page at. And then you find out, like, oh, wow, that's not even how you think or how you feel. It's like you were in a relationship with someone who was completely creating an illusion about who they were. It's like, well, I feel like I don't even know you anymore. And the fact that, I don't know, and some people are much more, to a shattered degree, some people are very deceptive, manipulative, immature, egotistical, kind of on that narcissistic tinge. And some people had no idea. But as time goes by, people see the truth. And then people can be stressed out and mad that they thought for sure because of who they were or how they've acted before that people wouldn't see the truth of who they are. And that they could ride on that, the past. I can count on the past to carry me through. I think I can go do this or that. And I think I'll be able to overcome it. People might be kind of defensive for a while. People might be kind of confused. People might be kind of stressed. But I don't think they'll have inner conflict about believing the truth about me. But eventually, people can't keep staying in denial of the truth forever. And then they'll be stressed out that they can't confuse people about the truth of who they are, and people don't view them the way they used to view them. And then they'll be mad. But it's like, if you presented yourself and you lived your life a certain way at some point in time, but then, you're trying to be deceptive and manipulative and do some shady things and try to confuse people about the truth and hide, whatever these issues are, when you had the free will to be open and honest with people about some of the issues you were dealing with, and people still could. Again, people can understand people being a fallible human being. what people can't understand is people who refuse. And that could be really wild. Some people could be very out of balance. And again, it's just like people getting caught up in drugs and alcohol, but they can get caught up in a lot of different things. And just even their ego and their image, and it has to be my way, and people need to view me this way because I view myself this way. Oh my God, people aren't viewing me this way. Well, it's not that you're supposed to put on a show. You're supposed to be authentic, and that's what some people did not learn. Because this is what they thought it was. Well, I thought it was that everybody has these issues, but some people healed and grew and matured themselves and saw why they shouldn't act and behave certain ways. And the other people thought, I just thought you just weren't supposed to do it because people had frowned on it. Unless, like, nobody was around or saw you, then you could still be that way. It's like, no, you were supposed to grow up and mature yourself. You were supposed to change at, like, a core foundational level. It's like, oh shit, is that what everybody did? I thought everybody was just creating an illusion. Shit, those people really did heal and grow and mature themselves? Yes, and now some of those people don't want to be in relationships with you because you thought you were cheating the justice system by not really doing the work within yourself to heal and grow and mature yourself. And you could have thought you were so smart, but then you backstabbed yourself because you're really very immature. Anyway, there you go, Gemini. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.